In the remote forests of northern Idaho, near a stretch of the Selkirk Mountains, there's a small, unremarkable clearing locals refer to as Whispering Hollow. For decades, it was a quiet spot, used by hikers and campers who often praised its serenity. But in late 1995, a team of forestry researchers arrived to study wildlife migration patterns, only to discover something that would become a mystery whispered across the region. The clearing was perfectly silent. Not peaceful, not calm. Silent. Birds perched motionless in trees. Insects hung frozen in midair, and the usual rustling of leaves in the wind seemed to vanish entirely. At first, the team assumed they had stumbled into an unusually still day. But the silence persisted. Even when they spoke, their voices didn't carry naturally. When one researcher clapped his hands, the sound felt flattened, almost absorbed by the air itself. Further examination revealed something stranger. Their GPS devices occasionally failed, recording blank coordinates for several minutes, and even their radios emitted static without picking up any signals. Every instinct screamed that this was not normal. The team decided to explore further. As they moved deeper into Whispering Hollow, they noticed cabins and small structures that appeared long abandoned, yet perfectly intact. Doors were slightly ajar, windows glimmered in the sunlight, and in some interiors, items were left mid-use. A coffee mug half full on a table, a chair slightly tipped as if someone had stood up moments ago. No signs of forced entry or struggle were present. It was as if the people had simply vanished into thin air, leaving every trace of their daily lives untouched. The lead researcher, Dr. Matthew Hargrove, a seasoned wildlife biologist, began cataloging the anomalies. Birds that should have been nesting remained motionless. Small mammals appeared frozen mid-stride. Even the wind seemed stilled, as though some invisible force had dampened the environment entirely. The researchers described it later as walking into a vacuum, where every sense was muted and stretched unnaturally. Their equipment continued to act strangely. Cameras captured faint distortions, and audio recordings produced an almost imperceptible hum that could not be explained. By the second day, the team realized they weren't alone. Footprints appeared around the cabins overnight, though the soil had not been disturbed when they had left the previous evening. The prints were human-sized but oddly spaced, suggesting movement that was deliberate yet cautious. No faces were seen, no voices heard, but the presence was undeniable. Even the most skeptical researchers reported an increasing sense of unease, a feeling that the clearing was watching them rather than the other way around. Local authorities were contacted after the research team returned to town. Sheriff Helen Ramirez, a pragmatic officer with decades of experience, led an official inspection of Whispering Hollow. What she and her deputies found was unsettling. The cabins were empty. There were no missing persons officially recorded in the immediate area, yet belongings and household items suggested recent habitation. Paperwork, clothes, kitchen utensils, all left behind as if the residents had vanished mid-task. Ramirez described the experience as the most unnerving silence I have ever encountered in my life. For months afterward, Whispering Hollow became the subject of minor news reports and amateur investigations. Audio specialists analyzed the recordings made by the researchers, confirming that sound waves decayed unnaturally in the clearing. Even when tested with amplified tones, echoes disappeared faster than in any natural environment documented in the region. Biologists noted that some species avoided the area entirely, and geologists reported unusual soil composition in a central circular patch behind the cabins, hardened and cracked in a pattern unlike anything naturally occurring. By the early 2000s, Whispering Hollow had become a magnet for urban explorers and mystery enthusiasts. Hikers reported hearing faint, indecipherable whispers, sometimes in groups, sometimes alone, though none claimed to see anyone. Dogs accompanying hikers refused to enter the clearing, barking at the empty air. Some described a feeling of time slowing down within the circle, where movement and perception seemed altered. The phenomenon, still unexplained, prompted both curiosity and caution among locals, who largely avoided the area. Investigators in 2010 discovered that previous government surveys had logged the area as anomalous decades earlier, but the data had been classified. Reports referenced acoustic irregularities and electromagnetic fluctuations without providing further details. Journalists who requested documents received heavily redacted versions, heightening speculation. The combination of historical secrecy, unexplained silence, and physical anomalies gave Whispering Hollow a reputation as a place that defied conventional understanding, an American mystery that straddled science, observation, and folklore. In 2015, a team of geologists and acoustic engineers returned to the clearing with modern instruments. Their findings were startling. Ground sensors detected microvibrations beneath the central patch, almost imperceptible but consistent. Audio devices captured faint pulses, repeating in irregular intervals. The circular patch of hardened earth remained intact and unchanged. Though none of the researchers claimed to understand the phenomenon, they concluded that the site had undergone a sudden, high-energy event, something strong enough to temporarily suspend natural processes without leaving direct evidence. The final twist came in 2022, when a group of urban explorers discovered a small metal box buried beneath the hardened earth in the circle's center. Inside were handwritten notes and a 16mm film reel. The notes, dated decades earlier, described an experiment conducted by an anonymous research team that had temporarily suppressed sound and wildlife activity in a controlled section of forest. The film, when developed, revealed something chilling. The clearing had indeed been manipulated, but the footage also showed human figures walking through the area who seemed frozen mid-step, staring directly into the camera, their expressions blank and distant. The implications were terrifying. Someone had tested something here, and its effects were far more profound than anyone realized. Today, Whispering Hollow remains mostly avoided. Hikers report unusual experiences even near the perimeter, and locals refuse to discuss it publicly. The central circle remains hardened, quiet, and undisturbed, almost as if guarding the secret it now clearly holds. Scientists continue to debate whether the phenomenon is a natural anomaly, an experiment gone wrong, or something entirely beyond current understanding. For those who have witnessed it firsthand, however, one thing is certain. Whispering Hollow is not just a silent clearing. It's a place where reality itself seems to pause, leaving an imprint that can still be felt decades later. Whispering Hollow remains one of America's most unsettling mysteries, a place where silence dominates and time feels paused. If this story gave you chills, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and explore more incredible true mysteries with us. All our full videos are right here on this channel. Watch, share, and step into the unknown.